Hello everyone, my name is Greg. In this video I am going to answer a question that I was given that there was no way I was going to be able to answer this in 500 characters, so I decided to make a video about it. The question is this: the Bible isn't true? Question mark. I hope you're right. The God of the Bible is a sadistic bastard, so I hope you're right. How do you know? Well, for the first question, the Bible isn't true? No, it's not. It's not original to the Israelites. The epic of creation is a Sumerian story, but even more than that, it is, to use the term, classic storytelling. That you have the protagonist and the antagonist. You have the hero and the struggle, the trials, and so forth. All of it is classic storytelling. It is all classic myth building. If you really want to understand how the myths are constructed, I would really recommend that you listen to or watch the interview with Bill Moyers where Bill Moyers interviewed Joseph Campbell on his book, The Power of Myth. Joseph Campbell was a professor, and one of the things George Lucas, who wrote Star Wars, he was a student of Joseph Campbell. And when George Lucas created the Star Wars story, he was taking the classic myth characteristics and implementing them into the fictional story. One of the things that Joseph Campbell had pointed out is, in our modern world, what we are lacking really is the myths, the stories, that people don't really per se believe, but that they are symbolic of the human struggle and the trials and so forth that we have in life. That there is the tests and so forth to get to manhood and things of that nature. Some cultures had and still have rituals involving like tattooing, piercings. Others, another aspect of a coming of age, a trial to manhood, can be viewed as someone going into the military right after when they're 18 and so forth, because there you're physically challenged, and you're challenged in basically every way imaginable, and that the idea is that makes you into a better person. And if you look at the stories of the Bible, these elements of struggle and personal growth and personal achievement and so forth, it is all wrapped up in the God and the devil figure. Those are pretty much the protagonist and the antagonist. They are elements of that story. They're not literal beings. But additionally, the God of the Bible is a sadistic bastard because the time frame and the mindset socially and culturally that people had at that time was very primitive, especially to our way of thinking now. It was very primitive, it was very authoritarian, it was you do as I say or I'll hurt you mindset. We have matured, we have evolved beyond that. We've realized that that is not the most effective way to get someone to do what you want or to lead. It's not really leading anyone. It's trying to manipulate and coerce through fear. And fear is a lower vibrational emotion. That which you fear, you run from. That which you love, you run towards. You cannot fear and love the same thing at the same time. It just won't work. Because the aspect with fear and love, it is a known fact that people will do far more to avoid pain than they ever will to gain pleasure. That is simply a part of, in a sense, how we're hardwired. It is not just humans either, it's all animals. All animals will, that which they're afraid of, they will run from. Even if what they desire is on the other side of that, they would still run from what they're afraid of. They would find another way to get to what they desire. But they would want to avoid that which they're afraid of. The God figure is also, if you can use the logical deduction that it is a human construct because of the different things that it says. Like, there is the aspect of pretty much how the God is anthropomorphized into a physical being like us. But Christians want to try and claim that it is a being that is behind the universe. If it is something, if there would be a God that would be behind the universe, it wouldn't be in the physical corporeal form like we are. We are also, when you really get down to it, energy beings. This can be tested scientifically with a voltmeter. If you have a voltmeter and you have it set to detecting the even a minute electrical current, and you hold the positive end in one hand, the negative end in the other hand, and look at the voltage, you will see that you are that it, just you holding it, creates an electrical field. You're giving off electricity. The thing is, we are energy beings. When we do anything, we're expending energy. When we eat, we're consuming and gaining energy. It is all a matter of how we live, but it is also the essence of who we are, is energy. The thing is, you cannot torture energy. The idea of a God saying that, look at what I've done, that's ego. With the aspect of the first commandment, I've led you out of the land of Egypt. That is ego. That is not dealing with something that would be behind the universe, because it is trying to point to its achievements. That is a human thing. That is something that is based on, look at me, look at what I can do. It's ego. And that is human. This is not something that is a characteristic of an entity that would be so vastly superior to us, because it is behaving just like we do. And in many ways, with the Bible, it is behaving far worse than we do. It may be that the character of what is in the Bible was behaving along the lines of what people at that time thought was the way to be. The thing is, then it is a reflection more of where they were at than where we are. The idea of the other commandments, like where it says about the God being jealous, ego, and insecurities. Jealousy is something that I dealt with when I was late teens, early 20s. But I quickly learned that jealousy is self-defeating. Because when you are jealous of someone, you will invariably push them away, even though you don't mean to. Because by showing that you are not secure with yourself and the relationship, you are sabotaging the relationship by your own insecurities. an entity that would be behind the universe, that would be capable of making universes and making worlds and so forth on a whim. The idea that it would feel threatened by the thoughts that we have, that is so much arrogance on the human side. That is like trying to say that we're the center of the universe, that everything revolves around us. It's all about us. It has nothing to do with this God. It is really people wanting to be narcissistic and see how important I am. God cares about me personally. It's ego. It's narcissism. And these characteristics that are typical in people are projected onto the God. That the God is as insecure, judgmental, vindictive as these people are. Now, as you can go through the whole Ten Commandments that way, the aspect of honoring father and mother, that is, for the most part, it seems like a good idea, but there are some parents that don't deserve respect. Respect is earned. It's not given out like a prize in Cracker Jacks. In order to get respect, you must behave and conduct yourself respectfully, in a respectful manner. It goes along the same lines as to be admired. You have to conduct yourself admirably. You do not get respect or admiration just because you are you. You have to do things that are worthy of respect or admiration in order to earn that. Both of those are things that you earn by virtue of what you do. As the Bible would term it, your works. What you think doesn't matter. What you think only matters in so much as that is how reality will be reflected to you. It doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, because anything that would, an entity, to use that term, that would be behind the universe would be so far beyond our thoughts that our thoughts would be nothing to it. It wouldn't matter. Because, and to put this in a comparison that people can easily understand, is if you would get all pissed off and offended at the thoughts of an ant or an inchworm or an amoeba, you should just lock yourself in a nut hut or seek mental help, maybe get a couple thousand electroshock treatments to try and get your frickin' brain firing right, because if you're worried and all obsessed over the thoughts of something so far beneath you, you have issues. It's one, I don't live my life worrying about, do ants bow to my will? I don't care. Do they think I'm wonderful because I'm so much stronger than them? I don't give them any thought. The same would be true if there would be an entity that is a quote-unquote God. The thing is, the other characteristics of the God of the Bible, the more you can go through the whole book and look at it and see the narcissism of the God that I point out in my video on the narcissism of God. Those characteristics are human. That is showing human frailties, human mental illness. And in that, it is showing it as a human construct. The idea of, and this is a big one that drives a lot of Christians, the aspect of what if you're wrong, the fear of hell. This is, simply put, impossible. It is flat out impossible. Because fire is a chemical reaction of physical elements maintained by physical oxygen. This is just a fact. Anyone that wants to try and say that in this hell you're burning forever, it's impossible. Because the only time you go to this so-called afterlife is after you're physically dead. But after you're physically dead, your central nervous system dies, the physical brain dies, the body rots, it returns to the dust from which it came. For the Christians and the Jews, and even the Muslims, Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 7, the dust returns to the earth and the spirit returns to God who gave it. The spirit cannot be tortured. The aspect of torturing someone is, again, a human action. It is a means of control. It doesn't teach anything. All it does is try to instill such a level of fear in others that they will kowtow to the demands of the tyrant making the threats, so that they themselves won't experience that torture that tyrant wishes to dish out. The thing is, this is not something that an entity behind the universe is doing. This is something the Christian Church and Catholic Church engaged in for about 1,000 years. It was called the Inquisitions. There is also a story that I had heard about not too long ago of a gay man in, I think it was England, who was burned to death. Set on fire and burned to death. All because he was gay. So Christians, you want to try and tell me you believe in this, how like Gary, that where you said in the debate if the Islamic religion would be true, that it would be right for you to be burning forever because you thought the wrong thing. That is sadistic. And to what you tried to say in that video, you did say in that debate, to not do that is showing that you don't love. That's bullshit. As I said in the comment section, if you honestly believe that a child that disobeys deserves to be set on fire, you should have your child taken from you because you are a danger to the welfare of that child. Children will make mistakes. Children will fuck up. You do not set them on fire for it. You do not torture them for it. That teaches them nothing. All it shows them is how sick and evil you are. If that is how an entity would engage, it is what the Christians would call the devil. Because it is not interested in teaching, in helping. It is only interested in hurting. It is only interested in inflicting suffering. This whole notion of hell, beyond what I said, it's downright impossible. It is absolutely immoral. It is immoral, it is unethical, but so is the idea of scapegoating. Because the idea of a Jesus paying the price for you, it completely slaps, you reap what you sow in the face. You can't have. You reap what you sow, and also have. All you have to do is believe in Jesus, and everything you did is wiped away. That would be, people would try to be, oh, you reap what you sow in this life, but then in an afterlife, it's a matter of what you believe. Right here. Sit and spin. Because in an afterlife type of thing, there would be no per se pain or pleasure as we think of it, because there would be no reason for anyone to presume that an energy body would have a central nervous system or way to register pain or pleasure, that we would have the physical existence as a means for us to experience physical sensations, touch, so forth, and to have physical experiences so that we, the energy of who we are, can grow and evolve and expand our knowledge and our understanding and our compassion. Because, especially in the aspect of, if a God, an entity behind the universe, it would be ageless, it would be timeless. And to something that is timeless, why would time matter? Gary tries to say about the last judgment. Why would there be a last anything? That is showing a temporal way of thinking. That is showing a linear way of thinking. That there is a beginning, a middle, and an end. That is a linear line of thought. That is a human line of thought. It is not an entity eternal line of thought. That which is eternal would not be looking at things in the linear aspect. It would be looking at things in the aspect of, okay, someone like a Hitler, they did very, very nasty, evil shit. However, what they did, for as nasty and evil as that was, that showed us a glaring picture of what happens when religion runs amok. When someone is so driven and obsessed with religious ideals. That we, as a result of seeing that horrific evil, can say, as a society, never again. That is horrible. We can't have that again. And in that, not that the Holocaust was a good thing. It wasn't. But that because of it, that those people didn't suffer and die in vain. We've learned. We've grown. We've matured. You don't torture a Hitler just because he tortured others. Then all you're showing is that you're no better than Hitler. And that's the thing with people like Gary and his friend Campbell and every Christian like this. What they're showing is that they are no better than the Hitlers, the Ted Bundys, the Genghis Khans, the Kim Jong-ils, the Pol Pots, the Stalins. They want to engage in and praise the very behaviors or behaviors that make those men look like a child playing patty cake in the playground. That what they want to see is 1,000,000,000 times worse. And they want to try to say they're good and they're loving. No, you're not. There is nothing good or loving about wanting to brutalize somebody else for not being a mirror of you. This is evil. This is where Christianity is a human construct. It does not show a higher way of thought. It shows a very primitive, lower line of thought. This is how I know that the God of the Bible is false. It is human. And the idea, what if I'm wrong, that goes right along the lines with this, I'm not. Because what I have said is based on logic, reason, evidence, looking at human behavior, looking at what is human. Understanding ego, understanding how myths are constructed. When you put it all in and you look at the whole thing, you realize this is all man-made bullshit. There is no reason to fear it. The only reason I get pissed off about the hell bullshit is, like I said, there was a kid not too long ago, 19-year-old kid burned alive because he was gay. This idea of people being burned alive, it only matters here, now. It doesn't matter in an afterlife. Here and now is what I care about. The idea of an afterlife, I am not opposed to the aspect of whatever that would be, but I'm not living my life now with the idea of what would happen then. I don't care. I'm living right now. I'm doing things right now that are along the lines of, to use the term, Joseph Campbell said it as follow your bliss. I've heard others like the channel that channels Bashar, Daryl Anka, that Bashar had said follow your highest excitement. It's saying the same thing. When you do that, what excites you, then you're going along the lines of, to use the term, your higher self. And what, if you want to say your purpose for being here is, all of us have that, but the purpose for you is yours. It is not something that somebody can say, this is why you're here. You're not here to please some entity out there or whatever. No. Your life has meaning because you give it meaning. It is not something that anything can sit and shake its finger at anything you think or do. If what you do is harmful to another, we have rules in our society. We have collectively agreed certain behaviors are acceptable and certain behaviors are not. It is not a matter of having to kiss the ass of a god. But I hope this helps. And the biggest thing is, I hope it alleviates the fears that religion tries to instill. This is Greg.